But yes, Tamra did come in Regent a couple months ago, and there have been a lot of entrepreneurs that have come in. It's just an amazing class, a senior capstone kind of class to finish things up. And she got up there, started talking, and I started crying. So I was like, I need to talk with her about whatever she's doing. And so made that a point of interest. And she was kind enough to take time out of her busy day and just discuss what it looks like to do Christian business, which is part of my heart. But not only that, but missionally, like discipleship, because the Great Commission is go and make disciples of all nations. And she's doing that. And I was like, well, not only do I want to see her in class and do coffee, but just shadow you for a day and ask a lot of questions. So I'm just pleasure to be here.
I told him, Anthony, I was like, so if you have any questions, write them down, because I'm probably going to be talking so fast that we're not going to get to them, but we will get to them. And just fully immersing him, I'm so grateful that today, of all the days that worked along to our calendars, is our nonprofit. It's like we really get to do all things Founder Collective. So while we're hanging out here recording this morning, we're also going to be talking all about FounderCon later with Dane and Josiah, who are going to be doing our virtual event. Hosting. We're so excited about that. We're doing budgeting conversations, and then we get to have the founder table later. So Anthony, talk kind of a little bit about your kind of connectivity to who Gabriel is, what he's doing, because you went to Regent University as well, not knowing that you were even going to be utilizing that leadership element and that business element in marketplace ministry now.
Yeah. So as anybody, 21 years of my life was spent in the Navy, and it was running from a calling, Gabriel. I felt the call to be a preacher very early. My dad's a pastor, small town, and I ran from it because I saw the hurt and the ill of church and what it did to pastors, what it did to people, and I wanted no part of it. I didn't realize that till later, but after 21 years in the Navy, somewhere in the middle of that, we went to a church and got connected, and our pastor at the time called me in his office and said, have you ever felt the call to preach? And I said, yes, sir, I've ran from it for a long time. And he said, yeah, God told me to tell you to stop running.
Wow.
But it was a moment forward that I really began to evaluate from my own lens, am I worthy to do this? I've ran away from the calling. I've wasted years of my life. But now looking back, that 21 years really prepared me to be who I'm supposed to be. I'm wired very different than my dad. If I'd have stayed at home, I would have been probably a miniature version of him. If hadn't had the connection to the military and those different perspectives of people as God put me in past to talk to, I probably would have looked more like my pastor. But there was something different about me, which I had to embrace and realize that that time was not wasted, but actually a preparation for me to be the different person I am. So one of the amazing things my pastor at the time told me when I started school right before I retired, he said, don't get what you already have. Too many people, they feel like, oh, I want to be a pastor. I'm going to go to Bible school and get. And he said, at that point, I was already campus pastor. I was already fulfilling the role of many things. He said, so don't go to school and just get a degree. Find something that completes you, that adds into you. So they had a degree in Christian leadership and management, which really, going back to this, God really stretching you and throwing you, it combined business, leadership, and ministry. Wow. At that point, what I thought was, okay, I need some leadership, and they sprinkle business in. That sounds cool. So I got this degree, and then I had just enough time left on my GI Bill to get a master's, but I had to get an abbreviated when I couldn't get the full MDiv, which is the full-blown ministry, a master's in divinity. So I looked through it, and one jumped off the page at me at the time, and it was a master's in marketplace ministry. So now that all of you know where I'm at, it's amazing how to orchestrate your steps. So yes, I graduated from Regent with my bachelor's. I'm 3 classes from my master's, which has been on hold for a year and a half. But maybe this is a conversation, say, all right, get your butt back in there, finish it out. Everything on that journey, I had zero idea that God was already preparing me. So we talk about this a lot in the founder with Tamara and I from the get-go when we really started this thing. When we went to the first business conference, really, it wasn't under this heading, but it was under this DNA.
That's good.
I remember the question we had, she goes, how do we prepare for this? And God just dropped this nugget. He said, you cannot prepare for what you've been prepared for. And I look back now, and everything I've gone through in ministry, schooling, Navy, all the things, God was preparing me before I ever knew it. So I've been prepared for this moment. So Gabriel, I'll say to you, when you begin to look back over your life, there are moments, especially the moments you'll doubt, because that's where the enemy wants to take you out and say, you wasted your time there. And God's like, no. I allowed you to be there because I was preparing you for something. So your journey, your testimony, your story, you've been prepared for this moment, for this podcast right here, right now. So walking in that authority of a life of preparation for the moment you're in.
It's so good. And I'll be honest, I don't often do this. I've never actually done this. So you're not, I don't just like let anybody just jump on the mic. But no, you have such a depth of wisdom to you. Just based on the questions that you asked me during that interview, I remember just being like, wow, I've never been asked some of these questions. You're a phenomenal listener, but the way that your mind thinks towards marketplace ministry is what the world needs. And so in my perspective and kind of correlating to Anthony's hat, he's rocking the Gen Y hat, which we can talk about here in a minute, Ant, which is all about the generations to come and asking the hard questions, which is why. It's a mental health movement, and that's really what their heart is. But really the DNA, as you mentioned before, is about free people, freeing people. And the only way that you can be free, and another lens of that was something another speaker said this weekend was, if you're enslaved, if you're in slavery, you can't free other people. How did he say it, Ant?
Slaves can't free slaves.
Yeah, slaves can't free slaves. So there's the opposite piece. And I see a freedom in how you're operating at such a young age. And your generation, I believe, is going to be like the Joshuas to another generation, especially in the religious realm, where we're going to break some chains and we're going to realize, as Founder Collective is a mobilized church, that you guys get to do church in a whole new way. There's no confines to it. There's no structure to it. Social media is an agent of it. And we get to be doing this together. And I believe Gen Y doing it the way they are in the public school system, which I mentioned to you before, Gabe, is such a gift. And so knowing that you're going into YWAM, what is like your current season's ambition? Because that's what the conference name was, is embrace your ambition. And ambition is a biblical term for those who are like, that sounds prideful. That sounds like you're planning something. Let's talk about it.
Gospel conversations. Just understanding, like Anthony was saying, being prepared, and your story is so powerful. And just realizing that, yes, I have a story, and yes, I can share it. But not only that, but making the effort and moving beyond the fear to just share and have gospel conversations naturally. You know, there's someone that comes across your path. I was just talking with a buddy yesterday, and we were at Mod Pizza, and this lady walks out and she's got her leg in a cast. He gets up, goes over and prays with her. And it's just like making it part of your daily walk. And I was emboldened by that, and just realizing, yeah, that can be part of who I am. And as I go into YWAM in September, my ambition is to have gospel conversations, not just on the weekly ministry that YWAM has, but on my own time, having my eyes open to that. I think that just is a result of cultivating relationship with the Holy Spirit. I mean, if he's the one who is guiding and he has the will, and you align yourself with that and just become a vessel that's available in obedience. I've disobeyed too many times when the Lord's like, go speak with that person, and I don't want to do that anymore. To the best of my ability. So gospel conversations is definitely an ambition in the next season.